Hi, this is your daily briefing, and hopefully this doesn't take too long, but I think this is really important that we go through this because this is going to be a big talking point come a couple of weeks' time at the end of the season. As you will be aware, and I have extensive notes, end of the season there's going to be a protest outside the stadium, which is being organised, propelled, set up by the Supporters Trust, who have, on the outside of it, have embraced the discontent and seized the opportunity and are looking to push their agenda. And I saw their notice and I didn't really read it because a lot of stuff you just switch off, and I went back because somebody had emailed it to me making a couple of points, and it's actually terrifying. So I just wanted to do a little bit of housekeeping, so you'll bear with me. I made an accusation on the blog recently that I effectively, I said that they were Marxists. And so you can just turn around and say, oh, well, it's just being nasty. That's a word that isn't a swear word. It's just an insult. It doesn't have any substance to it. But I just for, gits and shizzles, I had a Google and looked up what the core principles of Marxism were. And boy, that was boring. But, and this is the big but, there weren't half a lot of little red flags. And I'm not talking about the one in the song. Marxists believe there will always be revolts, and in the right conditions, revolutions. In these revolutions, workers will fight the capitalists. So, if we think of not just fans, but fans mobilised by the trust, because I don't want to tar every supporter with the same brush. I know who is in the Supporters Trust, and I can say with a strong sense of conviction that they are politically to the left and are, I would say, within a broader society, dangerous people. So anyway, let's continue, because only if we define what a Marxist is and we understand what we're talking about, then it diffuses he's just calling people names again routine, and he's being insulting, because this isn't being insulting. If it quacks and it waddles and it floats, it's a duck, and if it quacks and it waddles and it floats, it's not a lion. So let's just call these things for what they are as we see them. So a revolt, workers, capitalists. If they win, this is talking about the workers, if they win, they will set up a socialist worker state, a form of government. What sounds like government? Oh yeah, governance. Where workers are the rulers of society. And its job will to be take away power from the capitalists. So, like if you had a board of directors at a private business that was operating, within the law, within a democracy, you would need to have a revolt which would then take the power from the capitalists to the people, to the revolters. And the idea is then no social classes exist. So we have an executive of a private company, and then we have people that are further down the food chain. Should we just refer to them as customers? And so if the customers form a revolt and seize the power, they can bring everybody down to their level. And Marxist believes that if the working class makes itself the ruling class and destroys the basis for a class society, which means private property, or what Marx himself called bourgeois property, football stadium, there will be a classless society. And to that end, we have the perfect setup here where they are looking to do a power grab from a private company. So, and finally, a fundamentally agreed principle of Marxism is that with socialism, workers have democratic control over economic decisions and social justice. So, what is social justice? Well, social justice, don't worry, I haven't got a sheet on that, but social justice is where you, again, start trying to fix the way that society is based upon your ethics, your principles, and your views. And this was something that chimed, and I thought, hang on a minute, there's too many red flags, there's too many bells ringing here, and these people are Marxists. So, from the Supporters Trust statement itself, we know there is a growing supporter anger with the current board and owners. We understand that. We need to focus on that anger. Wow. Okay, so we've got people who have made me angry in the past, 100%. But it's only come to the point whereby all of these clubs and all of their supporters associations and even the media and everybody threw their toys out the pram because they thought this was a line that had been crossed. And for all of the shenanigans that's based on greed, capitalism, for all of the things that have gone on in the past, all the transgressions, the European Super League was absolutely the straw that broke the camel's back, and this, enough's enough. But I'm always very wary. Aren't you wary about stuff that where it's for somebody to say we need to focus on that anger? Because I can't remember this sort of righteousness. I can't remember it ever leading to any good. Lots of people who have been propelled by anger have ended up in prison. That's the first thing that springs off the top of my head. And if we keep on thinking about those points I just read out about Marxism, trust go on. We can achieve change if we put forward positive solutions that can gain the backing of the largest number of supporters. And this takes me back to the fact that I know the Supporters Trust have maybe 20,000 or something, 15, 12, people who've signed up. And that's great. But in the scheme of things, and I'm not talking about, well, if that's 20,000 out of 62,000 maximum capacity of the new GAF, that's not how it works. If you're talking about the global size of the fan base, how many of that 20,000 are behind this set of demands once they've established that they're voting for something or they're championing something that is fundamentally based upon Marxist principles? And so last Friday, biggest ever members meeting called for the executive board of the THST to resign, clubs owners to work with us to create a new board structure that connects to our principles and our priorities. Sorry, forgive me, I must not misquote. Our principles and priorities, which is effectively the same thing, but just to get the words in the right order. So you're running a private business and we have decided that you're not doing it right. And because we're so offended, suddenly we woke up one morning and we decided that we're so offended by capitalism and greed and all these other nasty things that should never be allowed, despite the fact we've ignored the last 20 years of your reign, which has been packed wall to wall with all this stuff. So, let's not kid ourselves. You didn't say boo when they demolished the stadium, but you woke up one morning and decided that you had an ethical right, an ethical sense of righteousness based upon your anger, and you were claiming ownership of the mob because of your principles and priorities. That's interesting because that's not democratic. That's waking up angry. There's a line up here about the government launching a review. The government launches reviews on things on almost an hourly basis, and we're working closely with them. No, you're not. You're not working closely with them because you haven't been elected. They might take the temperature, from you. They might, ask you to fill something in or whatever. But the reality is, you're not working with anybody, because working with somebody is you go to the same place of business or whatever. You're in the same space. You're never going to be in the same room as these people, so you're not working with anybody. So we are drawing up practical measures that can be implemented within our club. Well, that sounds great, but I've got a practical measure that I drew up the other day. I like IKEA. I like what they do. I wouldn't have everything in my house from IKEA, but I've got the odd bit. I think it's a fundamentally sound business. I enjoy it. And I have a real problem when I leave their premises that I have to take with me a wheelbarrow of stuff from the store, the food thing. So beer, crisps, chocolate, fish, salmon, God knows what, meatballs, you name it. I just go nuts. However, I don't care for the canteen. The canteen, as the restaurant, the cafe element within it, I don't care for it. It's smelly, it's noisy, it's packed full of kids, it's got a disproportionate amount of people all crammed into one space, masticating. It's not for me. So the canteen experience I could definitely do with IKEA removing, because it would just make the stores bigger. It would the benefits would be endless, and the smell would go. That canteeny smell would go. But there's a big difference between me holding that view, because I'm sane, I don't wake up angered by it first thing in the morning. But there's a big difference from me holding that view and then demanding that the board or the owners or whatever they are recognise my opinions. And I'm sure there's other people out there as well who don't care for the canteen, the restaurant, or whatever they call it either. But I wouldn't ever take it upon myself to galvanise a thing, to say to them, listen, everything's great, love the kids' stuff, love the plants, your glassware, amazing, very cheap for getting picture frames, that's another one. But to form, and take them on about what they're doing. Because what happens in a free society is people vote with their feet. So when I get to the canteen bit, I swerve it. I keep going. They don't get any money from me anymore. And that's how a normal, civilised democracy operates. So they're drawing up practical measures that can be implemented at our club. And they then say that the anticipated return of up to 10,000 fans. Now that's actually people going to see a football match. And I noticed this aggregated in various media outlets, Daily Mail, blah, 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 all over the place. And they were saying there's a protest of up to 10,000. No, these are people of up to 10,000 who are going to go and see the football. So don't make any mistake that there's 10,000. There might be 10,000 because there might be 20,000 people who turn up. I don't know the level of support these unelected people have got, and we'll come back to that. There might be 20,000 there for this debacle. But the 10,000 is the government's recommended cap. And finally, we need to do it in a positive, unified way, which is strange because you spoke about anger up here, and I don't see anything positive about anger. And a way that gets and in a unified way that gets us the greatest possible support. And this is the funny bit, and stays within COVID regulations under Step 3 of the government's roadmap to lockdown. That isn't going to happen. A mob of people, and we've seen the pictures, and I don't do the groovy video inset things, but there ought to be a picture dropped into frame now where you see the people holding up. They're not following the COVID things. Those people aren't from bubbles. And just like all the other stuff that we see on TV with people not adhering to the COVID stuff, this is just another example. So these people, I predict, it'll be down to Haringey how they police it. But there'll be, if there aren't arrests, there will be people segregated. So, the Supporters Trust are Marxists, and the reason I say this is not because they tick a lot of Marxist boxes, is because the way they're conducting themselves, the way that they cut off communication with the club, who reached out to them to obviously try and diffuse a situation, which is understandable. But they're looking to actually infiltrate the business. And it's like me demanding to be on the board of IKEA so we don't get any more stupid ideas like having a cafe interrupting our shopping experience. This is really dangerous, and they're unelected. Now, I'm not going to make this personal, and I'm not going to make this insulting, but I know well individuals on that the THST's board. I wouldn't want them a million miles near any boardroom, not even a business I didn't like. So that's my view. You can take it or you can leave it and be a lesser mind for the benefit. But letting these people anywhere near Spurs is a nutty solution. Levy's made colossal mistakes. He's done some clever things. On balance, I'd like to see the back of him. But I am not going to stand outside a stadium and say, yeah, this demonstration is in my name. This is opportunist power grab that's going on here. It's an opportunist power grab. And they've tried to dress it up as like a workers' revolt. And it isn't. These people, as I said on the blog, it's amused me no end because I've had nothing but contempt for them because of the way they conduct themselves. They're just everything about them. Forever, since I first got involved, saw them, dealt with them, exchanged with them, so forth. And I told them, and I told anybody who would listen, that they were being paid lip service. They had no real power. They weren't being taken seriously. And they were being patted on the head, given some biscuits, and given a sense that it was great to see you and, hopefully moving forward and all that business jargon. But it was vacuous and it didn't have any substance or weight to it. All of this that we're discussing now and what they're up to proves I was right, and it proves that they knew. And this is the reason that this backlash, that they've snapped. Because if they did have a meaningful relationship with the club, they'd take a far more balanced and measured approach and look to have a meaningful dialogue within the constraints of that relationship. Because you don't get anywhere by standing on the pavement and saying we want him out. It doesn't work like that. It works in a democracy. You vote people out. You show people your contempt, how much you dislike them by doing that. But this is like all the Remainers outside Parliament. That guy, I can't even remember his name now. The drunk guy with the top hat who was shouting the whole time. This is chaos, and it's not even disruptive, because disruptive's become like a really good word. I'm going to disrupt the market and be the new player in the donut business. But it's just these people are into blocking traffic, stopping people from getting to work, and generally cluttering up a pavement whilst the COVID thing's going on in a population-dense borough. Dangerous. Don't join in. Don't send them any money. And for goodness sakes, listen, what's happened has happened. I don't say let's move on and forget about it. Let's use it against them. Let's keep talking. Let's keep discussing. Let's keep analysing. But it's a private business operating lawfully inside a Western democracy. And there are certain things that you can't back because they go against that. And, I don't want to live in Venezuela. Good luck. Keep it on.